Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about the district court's denial of several motions to dismiss by Hunter Biden. Okay, so recall this whole crazy situation way back when Hunter Biden enters into a plea agreement requiring him to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax charges and then go through diversion in order to dispense with or eliminate, once he went through it, a gun charge. And then through no fault of Hunter, and really because of not very crisp lawyering on the part, especially including of the United States, that fell apart at the actual plea hearing where they were there to enter the whole thing. After that, David Weiss, the special counsel, got really very strong criticism from Republicans on the Hill. Whether that was the motivating reason or not, he then brought much harsher charge. He threw the book at Hunter Biden, and he's now defending himself against the thrown book. Now, he himself, Hunter, has taken a more aggressive posture through his very well regarded but pretty aggressive lawyer, Abby Lowell. And they've been sort of swashbuckling about predicting how, they'd make the whole thing go away. And in particular, how they were going to challenge the indictment because it was, obviously, given the chronology, done sort of for improper reasons, if not precisely for vindictiveness. Nevertheless, for political reasons, with David Weiss, the theory went kowtowing to Republican criticism on the Hill. And, the events, and I said this at the time, but, the events do allow for that inference, but this was always going to be a very, very uphill road. And I don't know whether Lowell didn't quite appreciate it or was just posturing. But that kind of motion that Lowell was purporting to bring, basically selective prosecution or a prosecution in reprisal for asserting one's constitutional rights, really, really, really hard to do. Basically, once you've been indicted, you almost always just have to face the evidence and the facts, even valid, and so many defendants believe it for good reason or not, but even valid arguments that the government has it in for you just don't cut it. And so I wasn't surprised, notwithstanding a lot of coverage saying Lowell thinks he's going to get this dismissed. I wasn't surprised that yesterday the district court judge, a Trump appointee in LA, denied the various motions, which include one for just the sort of kitchen sink, which is fine. That's what Lowell should be doing. But like Weiss's appointment is improper, and a variety of things. But the main one, selective prosecution, but the main one had to do with Lowell's argument that this plea agreement that went undone in the court where it was being entered was actually valid. And it is a vexing kind of issue that the district court here decided in a whole new way that is a bit head scratching, but let me just give it to you. So you got the piece of paper that has the plea agreement with everything I laid out. David Weiss signs that piece of paper. Hunter Biden signs that piece of paper. It looks like it's a done deal. They go to court just to enter it. There is a signature line for the probation officer to sign. And that had not occurred yet. That could happen in court. But before it could, the judge here read one of the provisions. I think this is asking me to oversee his, whether you're going to bring charges. I can't do that. That's a separation of powers problem. And all of a sudden things, kind of collapsed and went awry with that signature line still empty, blank for the probation officer. The United States claims that that's a necessary signature like Weiss and Biden, and therefore no contract. Biden says it's not a necessary signature, so full contract and currently enforceable. the judge here, his 20-some page opinion is almost all about this. And it is this really kind of kooky contract analysis. The basic conclusion is, he sort of seems a little chuffed about it. He says, I've got a different take than either the prosecution or the defense. I think it is a contract. When, Hunter Biden signs it, David Weiss, it's a contract. But, and fasten your seatbelts here, you lawyers, and non-lawyers just kind of forget about it. Your eyes will gloss over. But he says a condition precedent for the effectiveness of the contract was to be the probation officer's signature. So we have a full contract. It's executed, but it's not yet. And the suggestion is first Hunter has to sort of go through things and show his bona fides in the diversion program. So it's a full contract. Yay, Hunter Biden's in luck. Oh, but it's not effective yet. Boo, Hunter Biden's out of luck. But the upshot, as I understand it, is since the condition precedent hasn't been met, therefore the requirement that the government not prosecute Hunter Biden isn't yet effective. Therefore, they can prosecute Hunter Biden. But what's supposed to happen if Hunter completes the program and the probation officer were to sign, now a contract comes into life that says you can't prosecute Hunter Biden, but he was prosecuted a year ago. It is bizarre. And the judge, kind of proud of himself, refers to it at the end as Schrodinger's cat-esque. So we get some good old 20th century science. This is the thought experiment that Einstein and others had, wherein what you don't know. It's elegant, but bizarre if you haven't studied it. But basically, there's a cat in a closed canister and might be dead, might be alive. In fact, under the crazy ass 20th century rules of physics, is alive and dead at the same time. Don't let your head spin around 360 degrees. Just, take that as the definition of the account of Schrodinger's cat. So the judge is himself saying, I've given this interpretation where it is both a binding contract, the requirement is and isn't there at the same time. That's not something I would normally brag about, but he does show his erudition, or at least having taken a college physics class. So it's a crazy kind of way to say it, and it might have implications down the road that he said the contract was executed, just not the condition precedent. But I don't see him, because what this all means is, and this is what I thought and predicted at the time, even as Abby Lowell was, beating the war drums. Biden's going to trial, and he doesn't have protection, and he's, really exposed to serious penalties, and, his life could be kind of ruined, all for the happenstance that, really had nothing to do with him, that made the plea agreement fall apart. And then other events that nevertheless he's not able to use as a shield against prosecution occurred. And he's gotten the book thrown at him by David Weiss. Remember, the holdover Trump U.S. attorney from Delaware. So that's the bottom line with this colorful and kind of convoluted analysis by the district court. Hunter Biden's big ballyhooed effort to shove this back down the U.S.'s throat did not work, and it looks like he's just going to have to face the charges, and the charges are solid. They're now being treated much more severely, but there's not going to be much to say. He did in fact not pay his taxes during the time when he was in the midst of terrible substance abuse, addiction, and the like. And by the way, it looks like this trial could go on also at the, in the home stretch of the election. And what effect could that have on, obviously, the reason the Republican Congress were so hot to to get Weiss to bring bigger charges has everything to do with the presidential election and Joe Biden. And that's now, I think, going to play out. Hunter Biden will go to trial, and the prospects are grave and serious that he'll be convicted and face a far longer sentence than the agreement that David Weiss already agreed to, but fell apart, would have provided. So that's the story. Trial will be coming in a few months. The efforts to undo it because of the weird procedural posture have failed, and probably will fail if there are there may be otherwise ways to try to breathe life into them to do a motion, but I don't see them succeeding. And it's just now a kind of regular old vanilla tax case with jail time involved. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.